Hi, everyone. I am Kristen V. Carter, and this is Trust Your Magic podcast, where I talk to family, friends, colleagues, and more about how they have trusted their magic and inspired me to trust mine. Now, this woman, phenomenal. She has definitely inspired me to trust my magic, and I am so excited to have her here today. We have president and founder of HUE and production executive, Bree Frank. Hey, Bree.
Hey, Kristen.
How you doing? How you
Come
feeling?
on, introduction.
I told you stunning in this blue, girl. I love
Thank
this
you,
blue.
thank you. I
How
had
you
to channel power, and blue makes me feel good.
Yes. Well, you are all the things to me, and I'm just so delighted that you're here today. So I want to get a little bit into your background. How did you get into arts and entertainment?
I think from a little girl, I always knew I wanted to work in television and film in some capacity. My first introduction to understanding that it was something that I wanted to pursue was actually watching The Color Purple, which is my favorite movie. I've seen it over 1,000 times. I have a painting in my dining room to prove it. And also watching Oprah, because I'd never seen a Black woman be herself so organically and like have it resonate and like talk about real things. And the possibility of that felt magical to me. And so everything that I had felt like it was like stewarded in that direction. And when I went to college, at first I was a speech communications major, and then I ended up changing to journalism because I didn't trust my magic. Went to journalism and then started to I always say I clunked my way through Hollywood because I wasn't sure how to do it. No one in my family was in television and film. Everyone worked in the medical field or administrative stuff. And so I kind of tried to figure out how to do it, before Google, before any of those things, Yellow Pages type research. And I started off in advertising. Actually, I started off buying radio spots for Little Kim and Cameron and Erykah Badu.
Okay.
And then took an internship at a tea and coffee magazine. Clunked my way, found my way in advertising, and then 9/11 hit. And I had an awareness that I was pursuing my plan B really hard and hadn't even tried my plan A. And so I saved up a bunch of money, quit my job. And then my boss was like, why? And I was like, because I cannot walk in this building as a 25-year-old. And just trusted myself and leapt with no safety net. I fell flat on my face, could not find a job for months. And then I started over by becoming an intern at a production company that did casting for a show called Room Raiders. And that job led me to a recommendation for another job that led me to a recommendation for another job. And then I ended up at a production company for 10 years, landing in production management as a coordinator, a PA and coordinator. And then that led me to the production executive route that I'm on today.
Okay. So you mentioned a lot.
Yes.
So I want to just rewind a little bit. What was your plan A?
My plan A, initially, I always thought that I wanted to be a speaker of some sort, to have conversations about how to navigate life and to believe in yourself.
Okay.
I don't know what would make me think that I had anything to say to anyone at 19, but I really felt strongly that I had a very difficult childhood. I want to motivate people because I feel very positive about my life and I just believe in it. And then it went from that to, well, maybe I could just work behind the camera and help people pursue their dreams. And so even when I was in college, I used to host my own talk show, and that was really fun. And I went to the Million Woman March and was kind of experimenting in different things that resonated with me. But I really liked being behind the camera as well. So I was like, oh, I'll just do that.
Okay. But what had you say, I'll just do that, as opposed to let me continue to do this?
You know what I think is that at some point I started to believe in other people's version of me more than I believed in the relationship that I had with God and how he designed my life. And I don't know how it happened, but I think there were just little micro deposits of doubt that I started to honor more than myself. And so you would have a conversation with someone about this thing that you wanted to do. And because they didn't know, or maybe they had their own fear, they would just hand it to you. And I took it. I just took it and I tucked it away. Didn't really think much about it. And those little deposits, this counsel that like found themselves in my brain, almost became like my rulers for quite some time. It took me a while to like serve the eviction notice.
Yeah.
But for a while, I just kind of just like, I just took the deposit and just like, oh, okay, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that too. And then the dreams in my head started to become like a nice to have, but everything else felt like, let me pursue pragmatism. Let me help facilitate other people's dreams. And I was like, I like almost like resigned myself that was going to be, that was the true story and not the story that I think that we all have to like lives God's dream for ourselves. Like it just became like, oh, okay, this is fine too. Like I'm doing well and my resume is cute. So like, you know what I mean? Like this is enough.
You're one of the most inspirational people that I know. So I'm curious to know what was playing in your head at that time, maybe as a high schooler or a teenager, to get you to choose something else before choosing yourself.
It just felt too hard to think about dreams when I was just trying to live. It just felt too hard. There was so much happening around me. I was like kind of like the nerdy kid. I like skipped 10th grade. I was like in college and I would do all the things, but all of it felt like I didn't really know what I was doing or what I was like aiming for. Like this power and this light that existed in me when I was like super small became small when I became bigger. And it felt like, well, maybe that was just a dream and maybe you don't get to dream. Maybe you just have to like do the thing that survives, because everyone that I was around were taking the practical jobs, or they were living the life that other people handed to them.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, like, who am I to try to be different? And when my mom used to say, when you would say, why me? And you like try to play a victim, you would say, why me? She would say, why the F not? And I think that for a while, when bad things were happening to me or when things weren't going my way, anytime I went into why me, I was like, why the F not? But when I turned 40, it kind of changed when I was pushing and willing my life to be better. When I started to hear the why me, I started to go, why the F not?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You mentioned the color purple. So at what point in your life did you see the color purple, and how did that resonate for you?
So inappropriately, probably like in the 4th grade, but I always say it was the 80s. There were no rules. And I watched that movie every single day after school. When I say that I've seen it over 1,000 times, like it is not an exaggeration. To this day, if it comes on, I have to watch it. I have to watch it because I'd never seen the depiction of Black love and joy appear on camera in that way. Like it just captured the nuance of what felt very much like related to my life. And there was something really painful and beautiful about it. And to this day, like every time I watch it, I see something different, and it still makes me cry at like the same scenes, or just like the beauty of like what was captured. It is like just art to me.
Yeah. Well, what scenes? Not that I want to make you cry.
No. So there's something about Celi's journey and the way that she sees herself, and then like the confirmation of how other people see her, and then her emergence into who she is as a woman and the price she had to pay to get there, that really resonates with me. If I have to think about scenes, I mean, everyone likes the dinner scene. I can quote the movie. No one will watch it with me, by the way. My husband's like, no, thank you. By yourself. My friends are like, not doing it with you. But I love the dinner scene. I love when they're walking in the field, and she's like, I think it pisses God off if you walk past the color purple and don't like that. To me, feels like, I don't know. It's like spiritually touches me in a way that I can't explain.
Okay, so for your life, at what point did you recognize the color purple for yourself?
Probably the biggest sink for myself was when I formed HUE. Because it's the closest thing that I can think of God clearly speaking to me and me answering what it is that he had to say for me. And it also was in hindsight, like later on, realizing that, I made my thought a thing. Because I have all of, you know me, like I'm always like thinking. And a lot of things just kind of stay in my head. But it was a thing I was willing to say out loud. And what emerged in return is something I still can't explain it. Like, it is not of this planet.
Yeah.
A lot of people start Facebook groups, you know what I mean? And it may not go anywhere. And because my pure intention was to give away everything that I knew to help other people, how it has benefited me it has changed my life fundamentally in a way that I cannot explain.
Yeah. So tell everybody what HUE is and tell me the first time that you had the dream or vision for it.
So HUE is a nonprofit organization that pushes for diversity, equity, inclusion, and access in film and television. It started out as a Facebook group of 27 people. We're now at 22,000 with the thanks of KBC. I call Kristen KBC.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I love it.
And so we work with all the major studios and production companies in this beautiful community to figure out how to make them feel seen, but also to create pathways for employment and opportunity, and mostly create the language around how our community should be treated and how they should be regarded. And so I'm like crazy proud of it. How it came to me was, it was right around the time, it was 2017, and it was a night where I had insomnia. I feel like I've told this story a million times, but I've never told the context. Like, it was right around where Trump was elected, and if the world felt really heavy. And there was so much protesting going on with the shootings that were going around. I'm a mom with 2 kids, and I cannot march on the streets. I always joke that I have low arches and I got to be home to like take care of my kids. But I did realize now that everyone has a version of protest, right? And so while I couldn't necessarily march on the streets, what I could do is create community and help figure out my lane for protest. And I thought that if I could create a space where people could find transparency around what it meant to be in this industry, understand what their rates are, and to raise their hand inside a safe space and go, this is what's happening to me at work. Is this normal? That if I could just do that, and I was fine with the 27 people, that I could impact change in my corner of the world and truly make a difference. Right. And so this thing that I created in the middle of the night, first of all, attracted you to us together, right? Shirley, Annie, Gideon. It's like all these beautiful souls that had a chance to I have a chance to orbit around, which feels like such a gift in itself. I think that, I don't know, it just feels like, it feels like I'm honoring the universe by doing this work.
So it's funny because I remember the first time I was invited to HUE, as a Facebook member. And I was like, I know all these people in this group. These are trusted people, so I can share when I have resources or when I need something. But then I started to really realize, wait, I think something else might be at play here. That's not just a Facebook group. That's not just resumes. So let me reach out to you. And I said, hey, Bree, I know you're in New York, but would love to meet you and all of that. And we were able to, create our first holiday party together. And then we just were stuck like Chuck.
Stuck.
I mean, it was one of those things because you were on the East Coast and moving to LA.
Yep.
And I was, again, just a member, but I knew something else feels afoot here. Something feels like you're trying to build community beyond the Facebook group, beyond all of that. And once we had everybody in that room, I said, okay, this is something special. This is different. Yeah. And now we have gone on to do mentorship programs and work with, corporate organizations and all of that. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, you always joke about telling that dream, but prior to that, where were you? Why did you feel like HUE was necessary for yourself? Not even just other people, but for you.
At the time, I was at a job. I think I was a line producer on a project. And I felt like I had this resume of things that I had done, but I was not impressed with myself. On top of that, I was dealing with, my husband was in this like horrible accident. And I just kind of felt like I was just like going and going and going and going, but I like lost my purpose. And I felt like in the dark for the promise of my own life. And I just remembered hearing like, be of service. Like that is how the universe blesses you. That is how God blesses you. Like you need to be of service. And so what I understand deeply is like, figure out what you love and give it away. And I love connecting people, and I love like being the wind beneath other people's wings. It fills me with like spiritual joy. And so if I could put people together and literally give away, brain dump everything that I've learned thus far, that it would pull me out of this like, it was like a spiritual funk that I was in. And that's exactly what happened. Like when I woke up that night, because I had insomnia from like all the stress of my life, like my youngest daughter was 6 months or maybe a year old. And I had a grade schooler. I was just always doing, but not like feeling, just surviving my life again. And, when I woke up in the middle of the night to try to figure out how much more sleep that I can get until my alarm went off at 6 a.m., to see that it was February 1st and to have that thought like, oh, it's the first day of Black History. And then for me to say like that internal monologue, like, well, what are you doing to contribute to Black history? And then I was like, someone should start like a group to like pull people together. And then it was a voice like, well, why not you? Oh, okay. And then it was like, make the group. And I could not go to sleep. You ever get like those buzzies when you feel like you're spiritually onto something that you cannot shake? That adrenaline literally kept me up. And I'm like giggling to myself, trying to keep quiet, not to wake my husband up. Like, well, what's the problem with the industry? It's like, it's who you know. And then I'm like, oh, I should call it HUE, you know. And I'm literally like, just like giggling to myself in my brain, like feeling like, oh my God. And then I like put it out in the world. And I think because I did it from like such a pure place that people, and I stated the intention at the, if you look at the very first post of HUE, like, hi, my name is Bree. I'm a line producer. I want to do this. Like I was like setting the intention that inevitably became the impact, but I was very clear about what it is that I was trying to build. And you know, from the early days, people, our own community is like, don't put that negative stuff. This is not the place for it. This is not the place for your memes. This is not the place for you. This is about us helping us. And we want to keep this space pure, and we're not playing about it. And so the integrity of the group is held up. Every now and then you get an ancillary like outlier, and people like, report. No, not here.
That happened this morning. I was like, oh, look at this.
People like, flag, no, out. So it just, you know, it just became this safe space for so many people. And it's probably one of the proudest things. I can't think of any, well, my kids and my husband and my family, but I'm like super proud of it.
So when did you realize that HUE was a thing?
This is good. Okay. It was probably the event that we did in LA, because I did an event in New York for the very first time on my own. And I hate events. Kristen knows this. This is why we have bonded so much. She's like, I like people. I'm like, good, here you go. Show up, tell me what to do. But when we threw the event in LA and we packed the joint.
You talking about the holiday party?
I'm talking about the holiday party.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be a small window and we could not get people to go. And then we were having a conversation, and normally people kind of like drift out and leave, and they just like, they don't want to stay. And we were having a panel. It was just going, and people were just really invested. And I got emotional because it was just like, okay, it's working. Like, this is exactly what I want. And so what you also know is like funny is that a lot of people still do not know that I'm like the founder of the group. And so people like, I'll go to like the party and they're like, hi, how are you? This is like so cool. Like, so like, how long have you been here? And I was like, I created it. And they're like, what?
Uh-huh. That is so funny. I didn't realize that it was that. I thought maybe there was a moment before we had started doing the in-person events. So that's news to me.
Yeah. Because I think that before, like, it felt very like in the clouds, like
that's,
in the Facebook group. And
but then when you bring people out and it's packed and folks are excited, it's a whole different energy.
And the first event, like, I can't say that it didn't create an impact because I kept going, like, are people going to come? Like, there were probably at the time in New York, a couple of hundred people in the group. And I thought, I set a place and was like, maybe like 40 people will show up. And I'll just like, I guess I can create like a cocktail drink and make sure we can. And then like 37 people came out of 40. And I was like, wait a minute. What?
Yeah.
Okay. And then by the time I moved to LA and settled and we settled on a date for the thing, there were so many people that came and stayed and kept coming up to me like, thank you for this. Thank you for this. I was like, oh, this is like something.
Yeah. No, definitely. It was packed out. And I remember we were just like, all right, so now we got to get to all the other stuff we want to do, mentoring and speaking and everything. So you mentioned you wanted to be a speaker when you were younger. And I'm curious to know where that is lying in your midst now.
HUE is the first time I was invited to a panel. Was for the PGA. It was the first time I said that I was a part of HUE Out Loud because I was scared for a number of years to say that I was championing this thing. I thought that people would regard me as someone who only, it would make me unemployable, which is so messed up to say.
Why do you feel that way?
Because if I was championing Black, Indigenous people of color as someone who's in a position of hiring, that I wouldn't be looking for like the best talent, which is like crap. But you kind of like are indoctrinated to almost like hide yourself, or at least for me, like all of who I was, it felt very clear that it wasn't welcome. And so I kind of like bought into the crap of it. Becoming a speaker was something that I was invited to a panel because Morinike invited me to a panel. And I remember getting the invitation like, you want to talk to me? Like, okay. And then when I was at the panel, so many people were coming up to me like, oh my God, thank you so much for what you said. And I remember it feeling like another time. It's like, oh, God's bell. Like, this, you really enjoy this. And then I did the panel for HUE and people were so attentive and I was like, oh, God's bell. Like, you're on to something. And so now I've been on like panels for like the Oscars and the LA Times. And every time I get a chance to speak and say the truth about what is existing in our industry and the truth of my life, it feels very, it feels urgent and like really important. And so I definitely want to do more speaking engagements and opportunities, but I've had some amazing opportunities. 2020 was like, forget it. Like everyone wanted to hear. Yeah. If you were brown, someone wanted to hear what you had to say. And so I definitely had, an upsurgence of having opportunities. But like, yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. So how has HUE affirmed you at this point?
I think in every way possible, because being able to sit in front of my peers and colleagues who for a long time didn't even realize that I was like in the room or what my value was, for them to seek me out to try to figure out how to do it feels like affirming. And that's a nice to have. But I think that being able to see people who look like me, who have had opportunities they never would have had before we created that community, is really affirming to me. Yeah. Like, it's like being able to look at someone who is in their own way of their life and have them try to figure out if it's their skill set or their belief systems. And for me to go, it's your belief system, you belong here. And for them to see that and then to launch from that space is like, yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, I think the thing that stands out for me is that, you have a very impressive resume. You've done all the things. You said you still hadn't felt fulfilled. And then HUE was what woke you up to all of this other stuff, to your purpose, to your power, to your dreams, to the community. And it's just so nice to see, because I think on the outside looking in, people can get very lost with the resume. They can just be like, oh, you're just fine. And it's like, no, there's other things that we want to do and accomplish, and also lives we want to touch.
Yes.
You know, so that's like what's very, very loud to me. We talk a lot about our core values at HUE. all about candor and equality. And I'm not joking, but we talk about candor and equality and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say are your personal core values and how they're launching you forward now?
Candor is definitely, I feel like HUE's values like are my values. But I believe in kindness, and I believe in truth and humility, and I just believe in like being like good, like just being like a good person. I live my life believing that like who you really are is how you are in your worst moment. And I certainly have been faced with some really tough moments in my life, and I pride myself on being able to be kind and fair.
Yeah. You mentioned a few tough moments. Do you feel like there have been any signature moments in your life that have taught you who you are, like very specifically?
I mean, oh my God, so many. I think becoming a mom was very eye-opening to me, because the responsibility that I had or felt when I gave birth to Sydney, it was paralyzing to me. And I think that like, I remember I was watching Oprah, and Dr. Robin Smith was talking to her mom, and she was like, once you become a parent, you forfeit the right to be broken. And that really stuck with me. And I held on to it for a long time. I don't necessarily believe the same thing too, because I think that children kind of expose the parts of yourself that you didn't even know you had to face. And so I think that becoming a mom has been really instrumental in developing me into my womanhood and who I am as a human, and having so much grace and forgiveness for myself. I also think that like I used to live a life of thinking that there was a finality to anything that I accomplished, right? And so I was so obsessed with getting to the place so it could be in the past. And now I say that I'm living my life for like the ING. So I want to be loving. I'm falling in love with the process. Like it's not this, I like the ellipsis on my life, like rather than like putting a period on it. Like I like the idea of being like, and. Another thing that was instrumental was like losing my mom, because I was on this planet for the first time, like by myself. And that was like really hard to navigate. And it grew me up in such a very fast way. And then it's really my 30s. My 30s came with Timberland boots. Or black ones, like people say the black Air Force ones. Like it came and said, we are going to pressure test you into your like who you are as a person. And I just came out on the other side in love with it all. Like I think that I used to only feel like every time something bad happened, I like shaped my life around like, this is not supposed to be happening. And I was so stuck in the process of being like, this is not supposed to be happening right now. And now I enjoy it all. Yeah, like I'm like grateful for it all. Like pain sucks, but I don't overweigh it as much as I do joy. I just am grateful for it because it means that I'm alive. And it doesn't mean I don't want it to go away or to quicken up, right?
Right.
But I just I sit back and I observe my life, and I really feel like, okay, well, what are you supposed to be learning right now? Like, well, what does this mean? As in like, just like the curiosity I have about who I am right now it's the part of my life that I'm enjoying the most right now.
You said so many great things, because I definitely think that we rush through the pain, and sometimes you have to feel it. That doesn't mean you don't want it to go away, but you sometimes, I think, have to feel it in order to say, okay, how can I move through this? Not numb it, but how can I move through this? What can I learn from it? How can I grow? How can I give? How can I give to myself? And then as you keep moving, you start to kind of patch and sort of mend those wounds, I would say, to get to the other side. That's how I feel about it. Yeah.
And I think that like what I was really good at was like listing out what I was going through, but not feeling it, which is a very different thing. Right. So if someone's like, how are you? It's like, yeah, I'm good. Cause I don't want people to worry about me. I want them to feel like I'm strong. Like I'm not allowed to be vulnerable. I feel so much power in being vulnerable. I love it. Like, I love the rawness of like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what to do next. Rather than run from it, I like kind of run towards it, because I feel like on the other side of that is like the best version of me. And so before, it would be like, I could list out all the things that were happening to me, qualify it as tough, and then put a Band-Aid over it and like run next to the next thing. Because I used to always wait for the other shoe to drop. I don't do that as much anymore. I don't know. Like, I just really enjoy who I am right now, even the parts that are hard to look at.
You have accomplished so much with HUE, but I know that there's so many other things that you're interested in doing. So I'm just curious to know, where are you at this point of your life, like right now?
I'm in observation mode. Like, I don't know what's going on right now. I kind of wanted to sit in the choices that I made. And some of them, I felt like I was like betraying myself, like all the things. Like, I just was like really curious about myself. Because you know how you feel like you think you learned something and then it happens again?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you said you'd never do this again, and now you're here again. So like, what's going on?
What's going on?
Hey, girl. Like, you know, you talk to yourself like, hey, girl, like, what's going on? So I like, hey, girled myself, and like, I went to Cannes and went to Martha's Vineyard and got a chance to travel and enjoy my kids and like be home and like work on HUE. It's exactly what I've needed. I really wanted to sit down and like listen to the universe and let it direct my next steps. Because there's a part of you that when you were trying to be the captain of your ship, you are afraid to fail. And so you like surround yourself with opportunities to not feel the feeling of failure. And I thought that if I just sat still and not be the one that had the answers, right? Like, I'm an active participant in my life, but to really allow something greater to speak to me, that the next thing that I did would be as great as anything that I've ever done. But that can't happen unless I allow myself space to sit still.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you feel like you've gained from sitting still? What have you learned about yourself?
That I'm going to be okay. I have learned that that I'm worth it. I've learned that I'm okay with not knowing. I'm certainly really okay with how it is that I'm living my life, even when I'm disappointing myself. And I have learned to almost like fully reject the notion of how anyone else thinks what I should be doing for my life. I have like fully rejected the notion that anyone should be able to tell me what to do next.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you that specifically because I think so many of us run, go, and don't take a pause for literal station identification. And I hope that somebody listening will take a moment for themselves to chill out. We do so much. You have so many titles: mom, wife, executive, this, that. And it's like, but it's also you, self, love, all those things, having the opportunity to bask in those things. It's just like, we need more of it, especially with what's going on in the world. Like, there's so much happening, so much that's like kind of hitting us and all of that. And it's just like, sometimes we just need to chill out.
Yeah. I think that like a lot of people live for other people to blue check their experience is what I call it. Right. So I see it a lot. I remember like when I was like raising Sydney and I would sit with like other moms and they're like, and I do this and do you do TV time and do you do blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nah, she be on that tablet. Like, and
what
she's
more
not,
do you want?
Right. Like I saw them checking with me subconsciously to make sure they were doing it right. And I suppose like I've always rejected the idea that the version of my life should belong to, not all the time, but certainly maybe over like the last like 15 years. Like, I should own what my life is. Like, why do I need to tell you all the things that I'm doing right for you to believe that I'm a good person? Right? Like, you don't need to I don't chase lies. I don't need to, I stand in my truth. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah. And you know what? Every single time when you look at someone, like I'm in my mid 40s right now, right? I could talk to someone that's in their 20s and then be like, oh, baby, wait till you see, you'll see. You will see. If I talk to somebody who's 65, you know what they're going to say? Oh, baby, you're going to see. So it just gives me confirmation that like we just all have a long way to go.
Yeah.
So like, why did we constantly chase trying to put like finality on life? Like, why? Like, why not just try to figure out, why not fail, get up and do it again until you can't anymore? Like, what's going to make the eulogy? What? So sometimes when I'm like stuck in a moment and I'm kind of like, when it's like weighing on me, I'm like, what is this going to make the eulogy? All right, well. And I'm just like, meh, it's fine.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That is funny. Two more questions for you. I would say in all of this, what have you learned just as being a wife and a mother? How have you learned to balance that, but also balance like self-love and self-care?
I don't think I've ever really learned to balance it. And I used to fight for balance. And then it became the thing in the mirror that I was like running from. Last year, I've been picking a word for how it is, like what I want the universe to draw to me. My word for 2023 was harmony. And it just said to me that like, I don't need to have balance every day, but overall where I'm putting my deposits, I want it to be places that pour back into me. Right. And so when I think about myself as a wife, my husband and I basically grew up together. We've known each other since I was like in my sophomore year of college.
Old school pictures. I love every time you post. I'm like, heart. Yes. I love it.
So we grew up together, like making like full on mistakes and trying to be our best selves and not doing that. And, you know, like it's hard, but he is one of my favorite people on this planet because he has seen the dreamer 19-year-old Bree to like who I am now. And we are here for the evolution of ourselves. We're not like 19 and 20 or 21 again. We are grown people like in a relationship trying to figure it out. And I think that like my husband and my kids are home to me. Like I could be anywhere in this world. If I got that man and them kids, I'm like, I'm good. It's like that and my bestie, forget it. Like I feel unstoppable. And I have so many people that pour into me and have so much love from so many different places. But my grounding, like my core comes from Team Frank.
No, I love Team Frank.
Yes.
I'm Team Frank. I'm like the neighbor, Team Frank. So no, thank you, Bree, for just answering all of that. But I just want to get into how did you learn to trust your magic?
Through failure. I think that I learned how to trust my magic by not trusting my magic, by recognizing that I wasn't doing it. And I think that like part of, as a mom, I can't pour into Sydney and Dylan and give to them what I can't give to myself. And so part of like my awakening comes from seeing it in other people, but refusing to honor it in myself feels like a betrayal. And it's just not something that I'm interested in anymore. Like we're here to try.
Yeah.
And I would rather try and fail than do the safe bet any day of the week.
Yeah. So for anyone listening, what is it that you'd like to leave with them?
That you are enough as you are, with no additions and no version of yourself, no size of yourself, no right partner or car or house will ever make you feel like you are enough. And that if you serve an eviction notice to everyone that's in your head and honor yourself and honor the universe or God or whatever it is that you want to call it, that the life that you dream of, the one that you're afraid to say out loud, is waiting for you.
Yeah. There's so much to say, Bree. When you talk about moving into speaking and moving into your goals, you have really helped me move into my goals just in being you and having HUE. We were able to exercise so many different things and say, oh, I want to put this panel on, or I want to do this IG live, whatever. And you have always been a yes. And thank you for being that for me. Thank you for trusting me. I'm glad we have each other. So when I hear you speak and I think about all the different things that have transformed in my life through knowing you and through our relationship and our friendships. I love you so much. And I'm just so grateful that you're here.
Oh, I love you, KBC. Yeah. And I just I'm so excited for you. Like just the possibility of your life is so infectious and inspiring. I said I was going to cry, but it is it's really inspiring to me. I think that you are magic, and your belief system in yourself and how you give so just easily and abundantly it's like inspirational. Because when people see that you do it, they know that it's possible. And I think that like being able to have you be the person that like pours into my bank and me being the person that like pours into your bank, it like gives me so much hope. It's beautiful to watch.
It's the best word. It really is. I think just what we're able to do and it's not just HUE. It's like us having our group chat. It's us being able to call each other during the week, like, what is going on? And just being able to be ourselves, but also to see each other, I think, in troubled times, but then also at heights. It means so much that you we cheer each other on. You know, I think people get used to being in the dumps together and like, oh, this industry, blah, blah, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's also like, there's a lot of wins. There are.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate like in the tough moments, but also in the triumph moments, we get to be there. Like,
and we laugh and we joke. And, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's always a good time. Yeah. Like, and to have people that like are intentionally rooting for you and praying for you and like really seeing the soul of who you are, but beyond everything else. And you know, we laugh. We laugh. It's a good time, right? Like never release the group chat. Right? Like we have a very good time. It is like the purest version of the way you're supposed to love. Is how we pour into the group. And it reflects it back to us. A nonprofit that people think is supposed to be like no profit. It's like, no, we still need, we need dollars to exercise the things that we're doing. How you have like stood by my side, seeing the vision, upholding the vision, and never letting it be sacrificed is such a beautiful expression and an indicator of who you are as a human being. And I deeply appreciate it.
I love you so much, Bree. I'm just happy we have each other. I'm happy we get to be each other's village. I'm excited for you and what you're getting ready to do. I love that you took a break, and there's so many things that I am waiting for, but also very patient for too, because there's stuff I just see you doing. I'm also like, yes, it's the journey.
It's the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what else I have up my sleeve. Yeah. I'm waiting.
So I guess for the people, can you let everybody know if anyone wants to chat with you or communicate about HUE, where they can find you?
Yeah, they can always email info@hueyounknow.com.
Bree, it's so lovely to be here with you. I love you. I'm grateful for you. You're such an anchor for me. And again, you inspire me to trust my magic, and I'm grateful that you trust yours.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you so much, KBC.
Thanks so much for checking out Trust Your Magic. If you liked what you listened to or watched, please feel free to subscribe, and we will see you next time.